This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's get started with our public hearings before our regular town meeting. Start with the first reading of ordinance 154-2023, an ordinance generally amending town zoning code to remove the reference to medical as referring to marijuana. Any questions, comments?
Interpretation.
So we adopted ordinance last year the same as the county had for the terms of where facilities could be. And when we did that, the term medical didn't come out from the zoning. So this just streamlines so that the two ordinance match, but it doesn't change any of the boundaries and where they're going to be. It just cleans up the zoning portion of the town code.
Hello. No.
All right, so first call for public comment on ordinance 154-2023. Second call for public comment on 154-2023. Is there anything online for ordinance 154-2023? Seeing no comment, closing public comment. Commission, would you like to?
I move to approve ordinance 154-2023.
Any discussion? All right, then I'm going to call the vote. Craig, you were first. Corey? All right, first reading of ordinance 154-2023 carries. All right, on to the next one. First reading of ordinance 155-2023, repealing and replacing Title 8 Public Ways and Property, Chapter 6 Camping Regulations 8-6-1 through 8-6-10. So this is another cleanup item in which we passed the ordinance, and somewhere in the transition between formatting, we simply lost some definitions and of the original. So it's clean up to it. But no intent was changed.
So this doesn't have anything to do with if I have family come and stay in my
James?
Don't you need a conditional use permit for that?
Yeah, temporary use permit. Not on your own property, right?
I think you're allowed one.
There's nothing in ordinance regarding that. This was purely on public way. All right. First call for public comment on it. Second call for public comment. Anything online audience on ordinance 155, 2023, repealing and replacing Title 8 weight. Seeing no comment, to commission.
This is the one that was mandated by the 14th Circuit in California.
Ninth Circuit? Yes. Is there a motion from the,
I move to approve ordinance 155-2023.
all right. Any other discussion from the commission? All right. Calling the vote, Brandy?
I,
I didn't catch who seconded the first one.
First
Randy?
one, me. I seconded it first.
All right, on to first reading of ordinance 156-2023, an ordinance adding language for parking to Title 7, Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 7, Section 6, subsection 8. So in that, with the additions in the North 40, we have no parking anytime on Pearl Street north of Clark, no parking anytime on Clark, no parking anytime on Vougeot, no parking on Landing Lane, and the Oval Steffi one-way street parking only on the east side. If you have vehicles parked on both sides or one lane, it's not wide enough for emergency vehicles. So first comment, the first reading of ordinance 56. Second call for public comment on ordinance 156. Last call for public comment, anything from online regarding ordinance 156. All right, closing public comment on ordinance 156 to the commission.
I move to approve ordinance 156-2023.
second.
Any further discussion from council?
I was just gonna ask Eric, what is the width of those streets? Is it 25?
I've never measured.
But it's,
I'm thinking 24.
yeah. Basically the,
There's absolutely no room for parking.
Sure. So something, I guess, maybe just a mental note to make for people, it's just like, that's like the bare minimum you can make a street. So if you ever want to, moving forward, have parking on streets, we should consider with any future subdivisions to make them wider.
It's too bad we can't pick and choose.
What's that?
I said it's too bad I can't pick and choose.
It's definitely minimum when you have any kind of construction going on the side. You're cutting in pretty much one lane.
But it's fine. People will be parking in their yards, which will save water, right?
That's where I park.
All right, commission, any other comment? All right, then I'm going to call the vote. Corey?
I,
Craig? Brandy? All right. This- So the first reading of ordinance 156, 2023 passes, carries, however I want to say that. All right, back to our winter problems. It doesn't feel like talking about snow in July, but it's happened. All right, so we're moving on to the first reading of ordinance 157, 2023, an ordinance to add chapter 9 to Title 6, Public Peace, Safety, and Morals, a section of snow removal. Eric, you want to give the lowdown on that?
So this would pertain to. I can go. This would be clearing your driveways, anything like that, shoveling it out onto the streets, which is just creating bigger ice. You know, that's what this is about.
Does it deal with when the city will plow and where they will plow, any of that information?
I don't think so. I haven't,
No, this was just,
I honestly have minimal what's in here on this.
So my understanding it has the property owner's responsibility to not dispose of these snow removal they're doing from their driveways and so forth onto the public thoroughfare then.
correct.
They need to push it to the side or
Yes.
someplace other than out on the street or to augment the snow removal problem for the town.
Yes, we ran into the crew had done their rounds, and then we get calls for people to get pulled out of humps that were in the road that were not there when they left that section of road. So there was a few cars that got stuck in middle of the road after those roads had already been plowed because somebody plowed their driveway onto the road. So, and then just trying to make sure that the second section of that is B, and that we shouldn't pile it to the point where it impedes vision at an intersection, basically. Intersection or another vehicle traveled area. So like the alleyways, if you're trying to turn, if your main way out is an alleyway, so that we don't run over each other, that would be great. All right, so first call for public comment on ordinance 157, 2023, an ordinance to add chapter 9 to title 6, Public Peace, Safety, and Morals, snow removal. Second call. Last call for public comment on ordinance 157, 2023. Seeing no public comment, we'll close that and go to council.
So as far as, especially for people in town and businesses in town, if they're removing snow, they're, I guess, required to remove snow from the sidewalks in front of their businesses. But it's not their private property, correct? So where would they then be able to move the snow to, if not in the street?
Person,
But that's
business,
the highway,
corporation.
that's not you.
Huh?
That's the highway, you know?
it's all MDT responsibility to
Okay.
remove.
Because they have the right of way through the sidewalk, you know.
Correct.
We don't
I'd
have
be
anywhere
good.
else to put it.
Where do you put it now?
Well, we can't create ordinance on a property that's not ours there. That is outside the jurisdiction, so it'd be the
So
town.
really business owners could just put it on the highway.
They can't.
Is there,
No.
is there, I don't think there's any, I'd have to
That's where I'd
check
put it.
on,
Okay, that was my question. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
I don't think this relates to anything on 287.
No.
Instead of public streets, highways, entirely, right?
because we'd also had that where they'd moved it. Like, we can't move it onto the highway, or the highway department does not enjoy that from us. They'd like to know where a snowplow is, and it should not be near their turf, so. Kind of does, but I don't think you can, the town can differentiate on a highway that we can't.
That we don't control.
Yeah.
Okay. So does that clear it up for everybody online?
Or do we need to amend it?
I don't know, that's what I'm wondering.
James? James?
Yes.
So on snow removal, do you have that one in front of you?
Not at the moment, sorry.
We have it written as it shall be unlawful for any property owner or other person, business, or corporation to shovel, plow, or place snow removed from private property on public streets, highways, alleys, rights of ways, or sidewalks. So the question becomes Main Street, Highway 287, US 287, and I guess you could pose the same way to Montana 287. The town doesn't control those streets, so should we strike the word highways from the ordinance?
Okay, just read back the first part of
Public
that to me, please.
streets would still cover it.
It shall be unlawful for any property owner or other person, business, or corporation to shovel, plow, or place snow removed from private property onto public streets, highways, alleys, and rights of way or sidewalks.
That seems reasonable. Seems like that's within your jurisdiction.
Not the highways.
The highway becomes interesting since it's not something that we maintain, that it's DOT.
The highway is a public right of way. So you've stated in the ordinance that you cannot throw snow into a public right of way. Just because it's a state owned public right of way, I don't see, the public, you issue tickets, parking tickets on 287. I mean, the EPD issues speeding tickets on 287 within your jurisdiction. You have the power and authority to regulate many things. Just because a state or federal highway goes through your jurisdiction doesn't deny you authority to have concurrent jurisdiction to regulate things of a local concern. So I don't see that as a issue that would prohibit you from passing this ordinance.
We're trying to make it so that the downtown businesses are required to remove the snow from the sidewalks,
Yes.
but
They gotta put it,
where are they gonna put it?
they have to take it in the basket.
Or wheeled.
Well, I mean, that's really not a concern. I mean, they can take the snow, they could put it back towards their building or,
There's not
whatever.
enough room on the sidewalk for it. There's not.
No, not on the sidewalk. If they clear the sidewalk, do their buildings come straight up to the sidewalk?
Yes,
Some of them, yes,
the vast majority of them do.
sure.
And by town ordinance, they're required to clear the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, and that's reasonable because that's a public safety concern. And
Eric, do you
I
have
mean,
a
I don't know.
call?
So what you're saying is, I mean, maybe what you just want to do is say you're required to clear your sidewalk.
We have that.
But
We
if they,
have that.
but if they clear their sidewalk and they throw the snow into the road and then the plow comes over and throws it back up on the sidewalk, that's not accomplishing anything, is it? It's kind
Oh,
of
it
futile
happens
exercise.
all the time.
I mean, I
I
don't know.
guess
I mean, maybe the thing is to require them to just, yeah, you have to remove snow from your sidewalk. And if that means they have to bring along a pickup and throw snow into the pickup truck, and then,
No.
I don't know.
I mean, I quite personally push all my snow into the road for Eric so he can take it home and build a snowman.
So what's the workaround that actually works for everybody?
What about a
That's-
snow woman, Corey?
What's that?
Why a snowman? Why can't it be a snow woman?
All right, off topic. Let's figure out how to fix this so that it actually works for everybody. Because we did run into problems where this year we had a lot of snow and it was actually creating safety concerns, mainly on the off streets.
Strike highway. That would be my solution.
Makes sense to me.
And you say public right of way, that's a highway. Maybe you say private and town right of ways.
Sure. So the plow can come through early in the morning and remove it.
Why not just say that every business and owner must clear their sidewalks and then just leave it at that?
That's already a requirement.
It's already in the ordinance.
In a
So
different
then-
part.
So then maybe you're trying to fix a problem. You know, what's that saying? I can't remember how it goes. An answer for a problem that doesn't exist. How does that go? Finding a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. I mean, what exactly is the problem that you're experiencing?
In the current first reading of ordinance 157, it would be putting on the business owners to basically cart out snow on Main Street. Because it says they have to move it off the sidewalk, but they can't move it onto a public street, highway, right of way.
Right, so just strike that part. Just say that they have to clear their sidewalks. Is that feasible to just put in their ordinance that these owners are required to keep their sidewalks clear?
There already is an ordinance that says that.
Okay, so then it sounds to me you're trying to create you're seeking a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. I mean, are people not clearing their sidewalks?
James, I think you're missing the point. If there's already an ordinance that says that you must remove the snow, and then
Yes.
we are creating additional ordinance saying that you may not put that snow in certain sections, it then creates a problem for downtown that the only solution for, with it written the current way in 157, is to tote it off in a vehicle.
Right, for those businesses that have no place else to put it.
Okay,
Some do, but some
I
don't.
mean, you're asking for my input, and I'm not trying to be argumentative or anything like of that nature, but is there a problem? Are these people not cleaning their sidewalks?
They are.
They are,
The reason for the
Yeah.
ordinance is the off streets, the streets that are off Main Street, private driveways are pushing their snow out into the town of Ennis streets.
Okay,
That's really what this, I
We're
think, is
trying
aimed
to
at.
eliminate that. We want them to put it on their private property.
And they
So
have,
how-
they have the capacity to do that on their private streets, but not downtown, right?
Right.
Right, so how do
So
you,
they
how do you
so they
write
just-
the ordinance so it targets the outside of downtown folks and not the
Well, strike
downtown
highways
folks?
and amend the public right of way to read Town of
Isn't
Ennis.
downtown is a separate zoning district, correct? I mean, just do it by zoning district then.
Remove private property and public right of way, strike highway.
He is right, though. You could just put right below that exemption zoning district.
Whatever your downtown zoning
Or
district.
commercial, it's CCR. No, that's not gonna get all of it.
Can you bound it by saying it's, Main Street?
Yeah, just say accepting any properties that adjoin Highway 287.
There you go. Yeah, but then that would still include the residential if we did it that way, that's behind it, so that doesn't work, but that will. If we put the exemption between first and third.
You gotta go further than that.
That's true.
You gotta go down to Kalina's,
Okay,
daycare.
That'd be the bridge, basically, all the way down to the bridge.
Yeah.
okay, so between,
Cattleman Gallery.
They have an area
they have an
they have
area,
some land in front.
they have
between
area, I have area, demos. We all find area for ours. There really isn't any on Main Street.
that. Right.
There's absolutely none. So that would be a fix from first to the bridge on US 287. Is that doable?
But that's like the most heavily trafficked area in your town as far as sidewalks are concerned, isn't it?
Yes. The
So-
ordinance saying that you have to remove it from the sidewalk stays. It shall be unlawful to put it into the public right of way except on that section where there is nowhere else to put it so that the sidewalk remains safe.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds logical.
So you just put it as correct. As an amendment. You just put it in A. Under section A, exemption. Do we agree?
I move to approve ordinance 156-2023 with the aforementioned
157.
157?
Yeah.
Yeah, ordinance 157-2023 with the aforementioned
Amendment.
exemptions.
Okay.
So the sidewalk is not business owner private property, right? So maybe you don't need to amend because that's not private property. And it's worded, snow removed from private property, but that's already MDT property technically, right? Maybe you don't.
Well, but
And when
there's,
people ask, or my They do.
Right,
own it?
they do repair it.
And they are.
I thought it wasn't owned by them.
We don't know.
But there's an ordinance saying
Well, we
that
have to
you
make
shall
sure that-
remove it, right?
I'm just saying the sidewalk, you're moving public snow to public, snow on public property to snow on public property from the sidewalk. That'd be like me shoveling the public right of way in front of my house into the public road. That's not my property in front of my fence. It's technically the town's property, but I could pull snow, push it into the public property snow to public property snow. Right? The right of way in front of my fence is not private property. So I could move that snow into the road.
I don't know, my property, there's a right of way to the road, but I own it.
I have to, I now,
Um,
Second.
I'll second.
still makes the most amount of sense to me, but your
Depends on
guys.
you.
What does exactly?
Do the
Just-
exemption from first to the bridge.
So when they're gonna move that street or that snow into the street, right?
Yeah,
And
they're gonna
the-
keep
but the-
putting it wherever they put it.
Right, what they have before. I mean, last winter, there were a couple of big piles of snow that I think,
Just ask one question, no matter
Which is-
which way it goes, what's gonna change? You're gonna put your snow in the street.
Yep.
Down-
down-
Downtown.
I
For-
just come up.
for downtown.
Downtown, Eric.
It's,
Eric, it's only on Main Street.
and that's exactly my point. We're gonna push it on the street like those.
You don't plow up to the curb.
I don't allow the street.
No,
I cannot put my pile on it.
right. The piles are created by MDT.
Then it just makes it so there's no question, and they're not.
This is ridiculous.
All right. All right, council. Second discussion. Last bit of discussion. Okay, then I'm calling the vote. With the amendment of business owners on US 287 from First to the Bridge. Craig,
Aye.
Randy, Corey.
Aye.
All right. For the second reading, we'll have the amendment. Ugh. Last public reading of the night. Whew. All right. First reading of ordinance 158, 2023, an ordinance adopting water conservation restrictions to Title 10 of the Ennis Town Code. Eric, you want to give the rundown on who, what, why, where, how? That'd be great.
All right, so this is all about watering restrictions. And what I want to reiterate right now, there's different stages at a certain point to where the restrictions will actually come in place. It's just with the growing population and the amazing amount of huge buildings in town now that take a lot of water, that need a lot of water. We're gonna need this to help out. Not only will that, it'll help out saving our pump times. Our pumps are $20,000 a piece, not amounts in putting them in. It's just an energy saver. It'll be a good for the world.
But the restrictions wouldn't cut in and be instituted in phases as needed.
as needed.
They wouldn't be restrictions
Right now,
out the gate.
right now at this time, we would be at the stage of a voluntary restriction. We have not hit that point to where we need to go any further. We're getting close. It hasn't got hot yet. I mean, it's just getting there. But that's where we would be right now at this time.
How's the decision made as to stages, and how's it get communicated to, I guess, all the residents?
A
As it
great
changes.
way to get updates on that would be to sign up through your email. We have alerts set up. That would be the first place I'd start. The stages are set per what percentage of water is getting pumped out and used versus the system's capacity.
And what's an example? Like run your sprinklers from midnight to 3 a.m.
Oh, that's just
every
gonna
other
help a lot
day.
more. Yeah, if you water later at night, it would definitely help out more. But say we're using, what are our stages at, Nikki?
Stage 1 is normal. Stage 2, peak demand is more than 80% of the system capacity, or our well pumping issues are low for some reason, longer pumping cycles. Like
Say
there was at
both
one point where we
pumps-
had both pumps going all.
Say both pumps are running 24 hours, which was happening last year. This was a big, like it was blowing me away. We're half that this year. But if it keeps going the same way, there's no reason to impose anything. That's why this is so helpful. We're not here to punish anybody or anything. We're just saying at this point, we need to start saving it up.
We need to become aware, and you just said.
Yeah.
When we asked you if we, those of us that would have the automatic systems, if instead of asking those systems to water our yards, when families are gonna have, be bathing babies and getting ready for tomorrow and this and that, if we do it, set them, because they can be set automatically, set them to do it 3 o'clock in the morning or something, or after midnight or whatever.
You know, at 2 in the afternoon, at 80 degrees and the wind's blowing, you're basically wetting rocks.
just
You're
wasting
wetting
water
rocks.
every drop that you're pumping
So-
on our yard.
It's just a precaution mainly, and that's why the stages makes it great. This is just cautionary thing. Last year, we've seen an enormous amount of water use, enormous. This is just gonna help us out if we do have to. Where you say we do get another big main lake and we're using that amount of water, or lose that, this is a great time to use that.
Or if a pump goes out and we don't have a backup pump. It took us, I can't remember how long,
It took a few months.
several months to get a backup pump. That would be,
But I think the percentage of, going by the percentage of the capacity in your system is probably the best way to judge it, the most fair to your system and everybody else.
thank you, Eric. We'll open it up to public comment. Susie, you have to go. The walk to the mic.
Question for Eric. Because I don't know. So where are your numbers as far as, what's pumped and what's billed at this point?
Where are they?
That's where are they?
Like exactly the number?
Well, I mean, are we like still losing a substantial amount of water?
No, we're doing way better than last year. We're, at this time, probably almost half. We've done a lot of work to get there, all of us. once the whole town's been through it. You know.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's great. I mean, I like it to be mine, so.
Everybody does.
you know, Some just don't want to pay for it. But what? Give me that look.
No, I was thinking about Nikki when she said she put in sod, and I'm like, in her bill. I'm like, oh,
You can keep it green and be conservative at the same time. But I was just wondering if I know there's some ones that are using excess amount of water right now.
Yeah.
And they've been notified. I think they should be fined or something severely, so before I'm punished for it. Just about the quantity.
But see, we're not. So right now, we're just not at that stage where it's.
Is there a penalty or punishment built into this
yes,
restriction? And it is?
as defined in, or outlined in 1-4-1, which basically says the judge can determine. Or I can pull it up.
But I'm talking about some people that have really high water usage and they've been notified that they have high water usage and they're not willing to do anything to correct that. So the uses that they're using just going to waste, I could be using the water alone.
Right.
So I think we should crack down on those.
What's high water usage?
Here.
Yeah.
Are we
I
gonna
do.
share?
I understand, but here's the whole thing about this is some people actually use more water. They love their greener lawns. Right now, we are not at a point to where we need this restriction. So when that happens, which is coming, it's August. So let's say if this passes half a month away, if we're gonna be there. Then yes, somebody would and should say something to this person.
But what is
No,
there, what is the penalty that's built in?
I'm looking.
So I get $300 fine, I think, first offense, and 500 after and stuff.
Make it hurt?
Yeah. If I remember right.
You do.
I have a couple comments on this, and Susie and I must be on the same wavelength because I think that one of the things the town should address is the gap between what's billed and what's used. We know that obviously Veterans Memorial and places like that, they don't pay for their water, town water, but, or town property, but I know that there are several leaks or several very high usage wasted, hundreds of thousands of gallons on some of these properties that are very tiny, that, that makes a huge difference. So I think that would be something to take into consideration before, putting restrictions on people that want to have green grass. I am all for water conservation, using it responsibly, planting native as much as you can if you're planting new stuff. But I think that's definitely something that should be addressed and calculated into being responsible as the town first before asking residents to also be responsible with their water. And speaking of leaks, the Lions Park water fountain on the west side has leaked since it was turned on. And a drip every second, every day is tens of thousands of gallons a month. So that's something that could help preserve water. The Veterans Memorial spigot right on top of the lawn, also continuously leaking. And I'm not even looking for this. I just happen to see these because I go past those places. So I don't know where else is leaking, but those are constant drips and that adds up to a ton of water. So I think the town should take responsibility in preserving water in their locations as well. And then I think one of the other things to take into consideration is that people do pay for their water. So restricting them to a certain extent is, the town makes money or should make money on water. And if they don't, they should raise the prices on water. And then one of the other things I wanted to ask, and I don't know if you're able to answer, but I'm just not sure. Is there general conservation in the town code right now? because it's in this and it would be putting in a restriction of no watering from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But I didn't think that was in town code right now.
It's not. I think it needed to be moved into stage 1 where there was no, that's what, normal. It needs to be amended. You're right.
So anyway, I think that's a great idea. Watering from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is silly, especially in the heat, July and August. But I didn't think that was already in town code, so I would just suggest that.
That's how I have to change that. And then we have in our last section, the commission project money that is allowed for last budget cycle. We still had it available since we were going to move it to painting the Lions Club thing. Instead, we were putting that towards the Lions Club, and they're ordering new fountains and we're putting them in. So that one we knew about and is getting fixed. I did not know about the spigot at the memorial, and I'll look into that as well. Thank you. All right.
Is this conservation thing that we're talking about, how does that relate to this flyer that I got that wants me to define what kind of?
Nothing. That's two separate things.
We can talk about that.
All right. Second call for public comment. I think that's where I'm at. Lost my train of thought. Last call for public comment.
Does the ordinance then state that at a certain stage, something is going to be put in place for restrictions? And that is there any teeth in this ordinance?
Yes.
That there's
There's a
going to be a
penalty,
fine?
right?
How much is the
Yes.
fine going to be?
300 and 500 are the fines as defined.
And you're going to know that by the amount of gallons that come off my meter if I'm not obeying.
Could know that by driving around and seeing you watering the lawn in the middle of the day.
I mean, that's how I'm trying to figure out.
So is Susie writing tickets or?
I think Eric, when he's out, might be like, all right.
To have a badge.
I want to like.
All right, you two.
I get a badge. This happens
Last
to
call.
I got one for you.
Last call for public comment on ordinance 158, 2023. All right, closing public comment on 158, 2023. Council. Amend or not amend, or what would you like to do?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 158-2023.
Second.
All right, discussion.
What was the amendment?
I think that the general conservation needs to be redefined and moved into stage 1. So that's, or would it be stage 2? Watering? No. Stage 1 is, oh, why is this thing doing the thing that it's not supposed to do? Open back up.
So discussion.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yes, so we do want to move the general, under the general conservation, the under A, number 1, all outdoor watering is prohibited between the hours of 10 o'clock and
6 PM to the other stage?
I don't know. We would actually be creating 10-9-4 for the first, that would be the general conservation that doesn't exist, and then adding the rest. I mean, it's a whole package deal. See what I'm saying?
So changing it to suggest that we do it all the time? Is that-
But do we want to?
That's what it says.
It does say that.
Or
It's
do you
all the
want to
time.
move it to, you could have a 0 stage where there's nothing.
My past experience with town, other towns, i.e. Belgrade. 100 years ago, not quite, but anyway. We had the no watering from 10 until 6 or whatever, clear back then.
Sure.
So I guess it wouldn't have to be.
Sure. No, I think it's,
I don't think it's.
And you can get this way out of hand or way, I mean, it's kind of a basic frame. It can be amended later. I mean, there was other places that was like, at this stage, restaurants need to ask if you want water before giving you a glass of water. I do think Brittany's 100% right in that we need to double check our spigots and stuff in town and then continue on the repairs so that we're doing our best. And I love that in this, the town parks are not exempt from anything. They follow the same restrictions and everything else. And if we wanted, I know Craig had thought about even having, it should be reviewed with the water report when it's done. It's,
Well, just to add to that, my previous comment wasn't that it should just be reviewed, but rather it should expire and then be reviewed to reinstate it or continue it on. And that timeline from now till then kind of coincides with the town getting its arms around the whole water issue. Because as I understand it, we're in the situation we're in, especially last year, is because the town's infrastructure is aging, number one, and we had lots of leaks and stuff. The current capacity is finite, and the population of the town is growing beyond that capacity. So we have a plan to increase our capacity to be able to accommodate the growth of the town, of the area. And so that has a timeline associated with it. Certain steps have to happen. So my whole comment was that while I believe that the water restrictions are good in the different stages and stuff based on how hot it is and the water usage and so on, I think it should have an expiration date that coincides with our plan to actually get in front of or get ahead of, the water issue. Otherwise, looking at right now, it's basically we're always going to be behind the curve with regard to water. We're always going to need this restriction stuff. And I thought we were going to try to get in front of it.
I feel like even if you had the way it's written was based on percentage of your total capacity. So even if you expanded your capacity, it would still fit an expanded capacity. If we had another well that produced 300 gallons a minute and you still had major pump failure or whatever, then this still fit within it because it was based on system capacity, not like our gallons per minute. See what I was saying there? So in any system, this would be applicable. Like if you took,
If you improve and upgrade your system, this is here, your system is here. Upgrade and improve, hopefully you're doing that faster than this happens. So the ordinance may never get implemented.
I
See your
think, Craig,
point.
I think I
Makes
asked
sense.
last time
Both
about
ways.
this. I think, are you just trying to make sure that it's a continuing topic of discussion?
Well,
for the community?
that would do it.
That would
I think that would do it.
But I feel like it's, personally, I think it's always going to be, well, not necessarily. I mean, we were going to put in a splash pad a few years ago, and I was not a big fan of that. The kids can just press a button and water is just like pouring out of the ground, and it's like, oh, water's a plentiful resource. You know, that was my own personal take on it, but
And if it's plentiful, do we need to use more just because we have more? I mean, if this proves to maintain people's gardens and lawns,
What's that?
why wouldn't it be a good thing in perpetuity?
All right, Commission. And
Well, I have I just also have a concern about that, because the amount of like excess use and so on is, I think some of it is, it's somewhat subjective to a certain amount. And I've been, not personally, but I've in the situation, but I've seen this, I've been in a similar situation, but and lived in an area where, well, it is possible that if you don't get along with your neighbor, they could pick up the phone and say, hey, so and so is, potential for creating a, I don't know, like I want to say turning people in, or just that kind of stuff.
that's our current legal system here in town, is based on complaint base. If I do have neighbors that are camping right next to me, I can call them in, but I opt out, actually.
And so if I see the guy down the street and I think, well, I don't know, but he parks on, he's not, you know what? I think he's using too much water. Am I gonna pick up the phone and say, hey, can you go check this guy out? Or I have a bit of concern about the potential for that as well.
I mean, you can cheat so nobody going along can know your water or things. I was told this year in order to, believe it or not, my huge big pine trees were stressed. One had a bacterial thing, the other one was a viral, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the recommendation was they needed like, I don't know how many gallons of water 2 or 3 times a week would bring them out of it, and it did. But my little hose turned on that tree and just the hose and turned on slow. They're not gonna see sprinklers going and whatever. So you can cheat the system in one way or the other, or crabby neighbors can be crabby neighbors to each other. The whole thing is, we all want the town to thrive. We don't, so we just need to all get on the same page. Do our best to conserve without, and still have our lawns green. And they follow the rules.
all right, Commission, last bit of discussion since we have a motion in a second. I don't even remember where I am with the vote. Randy?
I
We're still a quorum, 2 out of 3. Carries.
I'm actually here.
Oh, there she is.
Well, I wasn't on right. I've been here since the beginning, but I finally got go to.
Now I see you.
A little slow. I apologize, but I have been listening. Can I make a
Do you have
comment
anything
for
else in
water?
there? I should have called the vote. So can I include her now that I know she's there? Or wait till the regular part of the meeting? This is a new one.
She's there.
She's there.
She's there.
All right, Tina, I'm calling you in the vote.
Aye.
Okay. And I won't forget you now.
It's all right. I'm sorry. It was my bad.
You can yell at me now.
I
All
won't
right,
yell at you.
that concludes our fun section of public hearings and on to regular meeting. Roll call. Tina. Tina.
Here.
Roll call.
I'm here. I'm
Yay.
here.
Craig.
I'm here.
Brandy.
Here.
Nikki. Absent for the night. If you'd like to join me in the pledge for our next moment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is the approval of the minutes of the June 8th meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, anything from the public? All right, commission.
There was typographical ones.
Uh-oh. If they're just,
I was, the one I didn't know was like, Lion, Mike Delaney. I was like, we should probably put that representative, Mike Delaney, from the Lions Club. It's not really important though.
No.
It was just typographical. It was little.
That's actually how I think they speak to one another.
lion.
The other one was, it was the number, one, like 636.
Okay.
But other than that, I make a motion to approve of the minutes.
I second.
All right, Corey, calling the vote. You?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye. Aye.
Somebody draw a picture of Tina and put her right there so I can. All right. Public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? If so, please come to the mic.
I have a couple of questions. Guess I'm supposed to state my name, Sharon Christensen. It was brought to my attention this week that there were citations issued to property owners who had family come, and they did their way to house their family visiting was in the trailer or motorhome that was in their yard, and they were issued a citation, calling them vagrants or some such thing. And so I would like clarification if where that stands. Am I not allowed, if I have family come and I can't put them in my motorhome to sleep and while they're visiting with me? That doesn't seem like, and I'm sure that, that's probably coming at crosshairs with, I understand that there's been some living in trailers for months while construction and whatever's going on, but I would like some clarification on that. And then my other question was about what, and Eric said that he could come help me figure out about this, but I got this note or thing in the mail that wanted me to identify the type of plumbing in my properties, and to what advantage is there? Is that part of some kind of a program or something that's going to help with grants for and things for the expansion of the water system? Or, so I would like some clarification on that. And then I went to the to the county commissioners meeting because I was really concerned about lack of communication. And I just want to encourage you to try to keep those avenues open. The county commissioner promised me that section of Madison Street, there's only 2 blocks of it now that's not town. But then there are, what do I call them, lateral streets that are still in the county. It's this little corner over here. And there is the state highway approach on that Madison Street. And Mr. Todd indicated that they would be doing something to try to get with the state to address that. So if that doesn't happen, I intend to keep attending those meetings. When they don't answer your emails and this and that, so forth, it's a little bit harder for them to not address it if you go eyeball to eyeball. So that's what I intend to do as far as down there on that street where I have real estate that, then it goes on and becomes part of the town's responsibility. There's other businesses down there that I visited with have told me that they've tried to get a hold of the commissioner for this area, and there hasn't been a response. So
You could add my name to that list.
I will. I mean, I didn't give them names, but I did. I did.
Add one more number to your list.
Okay. So, thank you for your time.
All right, second call for public comment on non-agenda items. Last call for public comment on non-agenda items. Anything from online? Seeing none, closing that item of business. All right, I know. When something goes on unfinished business, it just has to hang out for a minute. So this is on my radar to finalize is the resolution for the August meeting. On resolution on how to act on the water PER, and we probably need to do one for the wastewater as well, saying no action. Craig is nodding like, yeah, I forgot about that, but we probably shouldn't say nothing until no action to be taken until the new standards have come out, and then we'll update the report when the new standards come out. Is that how we're feeling that one's going to go? Because there was no major upgrades that they recommended unless that was done, other than maybe look at our budget section because they had areas that maybe we could repair, the line that needed repair. Okay. So don't let me forget that as we approach budget, to sit down and get some estimates put into the budget for, I thought you had 2 lines, wastewater lines that
Actually, yeah, one for sure that needs replaced.
I thought the one down by the lagoon. You thought there was there, or we need to camera that first and then, no?
Uh,
All right, so,
Oh, yeah, that's what I talked about, line.
okay,
You line the pipe on Third Street, that side of town.
gotcha. All right, so those need to go in budget, but I don't think they're major action items for like seeking grant money. They were smaller. You'd rather save those tickets for when it gets expensive. Okay. And then I'll work with James on resolution 589, 2023. Because he had a lot of good additions and corrections, and then we'll put how we're gonna financially tackle those in the timeline now. Okay? And then that will change going, and then from there, we'll have to go into water rates based on the 10-year plan. Okay? That'll be so much fun. More public hearings. So continue to be tabled, but not forgotten about. Hi. Next on actual schedule matters, presentation regarding CDBG grant. CDB. There's a lot of letters in there that sound like something else, just for the record.
I'll try not to get tongue-tied on that, some of those phrases, so.
All right.
Good evening, my name's Owen, I'm with Habitat for Humanity, Gallup Valley, and thanks for having me tonight and getting me on the schedule and at least pretending to listen. Just kidding, and be lighthearted, but there you go. Habitat's asking for the town of Ennis' help in applying for, and hopefully after the September 15 application deadline, winning and using funds from the community development block grant, already getting tongue-tied, to build affordable housing in the North 40 subdivision. I'm not familiar, well, I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with CDBG, but if you're super familiar with it, let me know and I'll try to just breeze on by some of that, but if not, sounds good. The purpose of the project would be to construct new affordable housing to benefit people of low and moderate income. Habitat's got, I think, 8 remaining lots that are not built on in the North 40. We're looking to build there using the CDBG funds. Part of that grant, 51% or more of the residents in the project, which would be those 8 lots, would have to fit into the low to moderate income levels as defined by HUD, which are at, there's 2 brackets that includes the 50% and 80% of the area median income defines low and moderate income. And the HUD website today said that for Madison County this year, it's 75,700. So then they've got some house sizes to go along with that. So if you're as a family of 3 on the 80% income limit, you'd be $60,500. And then at the 50% income, you'd be $37,800. It's kind of some qualifying income levels would qualify for that.
So are you saying that's, is that the cost? That's not the cost.
No. If somebody in like Madison County or in Ennis would make, for example, $37,800, they would qualify under the 50% income bracket. And so they could get one of the houses as part of that 51% or more. I'm convoluting it. Anyways, my apologies. There's some income bracket qualifications. And as an example, basically, if you make 50 or 80% of the area median income, then you qualify for the project. And so HUD defines some of the income levels. And that changes year to year, and it changes by the county too. Yeah, I think it says family income. And so if the mother and father and the kid make X amount of dollars, that count, it seems to count towards the, yeah.
And how much would that be?
The county number rate this year, area median family income this year is 75.7. And then going off of their calculations, the people that qualify for the project would need to be in the 50% or 80% of that. So for example, a family of 3 that would qualify for the 50% bracket they would need to make 37,800 or less to qualify in that particular bracket. And there's other brackets and more family, but that particular case would work for those guys. If that makes sense. It was kind of confusing. Anyways, yeah, feel free to ask more questions too if as needed. Habitat needs Town of Ennis's help in applying for the grant because the grant is awarded to Montana or most Montana towns, cities, and counties. I think like Billings and Great Falls and one other one don't qualify. And Habitat can't do it on its own, but as a nonprofit, as a 501c3, we could work with the Town of Ennis. And Ennis would be the actual applicant, and there would be some administration stuff in there, like filling out some of the applications and doing, I can get to that in a minute. But Habitat would have to go through Ennis because Ennis fulfills the part of the town, county, or city in Montana. And local governments may apply for the grant for affordable multifamily housing development and rehab projects by nonprofits, so long as the housing is affordable, or excuse me, is available for use by eligible households, which goes back to that 51% of the project must be low and moderate income. And then that goes into some of the HUD numbers for income levels. And as the local government, they're the applicant and grantee and decides the nature and extent of involvement in CDBG assisted projects and establishes some of the project rules and responsibilities in the project management plan. We've got the needed 501c3 qualification. As far as the cost Ennis, it sounds like Ennis is a little bit stretched thin on some of their people power and resources that way. So the intent of the grant from our perspective is not to burden Ennis more. It's to help with the more affordable housing, which hopefully would ease the burden, theoretically could ease the burden. And I would try to do as much of the work I could. And then I think there's some requirements from Ennis's part. And so I could, let you guys approve it or work with you guys on how we wanted to do that. So it's not intended to add more work or more stress. It's in the long run, hopefully trying to make things better that way. And the maximum grant amount allowed or given out is 750 grand. And we are aiming for that. It sounds like it's a little bit up to HUD and Department of Commerce on how much they give. But we are trying to seek the 750, and it sounds like up to 10% of that can be used for eligible administration costs. And then some of the things that we would need to do for the application is have 2 public hearing meetings, and then have some resolutions and plans relating to it, like a management plan, and a few different plans like that. And then the funded housing projects must be completed within 2 years unless a exception is granted. And that sounds like it generally assumes that you're moving forward in good faith and keeping with the project in good faith. And then after the award of the grant, you'd need a contract or the documentation necessary to execute a contract within 3 months of the award. And Habitat has been working on 2 houses in the Ennis North 40 for longer than I would like, and hopefully this grant will help change that for some of the future builds. If we get the grant, we're looking at hiring some more construction staff that can be on site closer to 5 days a week, and then getting projects moving along that way. One of our big assets is volunteers. And so as we get volunteers, we can hopefully plug them in with the staff that's on site a little bit better if we can get the grant. And then budget of the grant, again, the max that we can get is $750. We're looking at a couple house plans that average 1,324 square feet per plan on average between the two. We're looking at a build budget of probably between 200 and 250 a square foot. And some of the numbers I've been crunching are looking like 230-ish. And so that would put the project, if you use the 225 number, it would put the whole eight houses remaining at about 2.4 million. And if we got the maximum amount of the grant, we'd have about 1.7273 million left that we could use from our operating budget, or maybe potential other grant sources or sources like that. And then circling back to eligible households, we talked about that a little bit. Moving on from eligible households a little bit, we mentioned that a little bit earlier. The CDBG is a Department of Housing and Urban Development program designed to help communities provide affordable housing, suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities for the state's low and moderate income residents. The state of Montana receives an annual allocation of federal funds from HUD for CDBG grants and program administration through the Department of Commerce. The CDBG program helps local governments complete activities like affordable housing development. And sorry, I tend to talk faster when I'm nervous. And so it definitely, from what I've read, I've found the Envision Ennis 2022 master plan, and that's had some good info in it. And one of the stats in there was that between 2015 and 20, there was a 69% increase in housing prices in Ennis, and I'm guessing that those haven't gone down. But and so from that perspective, I think this grant could be a really good thing in trying to help lower the cost of the house to help get some needed affordable housing out there.
So what would the cost of one of those houses be?
If you use the, I have that in my notes. Give me a sec. If we use the 225 number, or the projected 225, and the average house plan of 1,324 square feet, that puts you right at about $298,000.
That's substantially lower than most.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the Madison County Housing Survey that was recently
I think I caught a glimpse of it. I think I caught a glimpse of it a while back, but hadn't been able to find it afterwards.
They define an affordable home in Ennis at $140,000.
Oh man. Oh man.
Based on the Ennis, not the county of Ennis.
It's non-existent.
Yeah. I found one stat that listed Ennis's average income of, it was about 46 grand. And I don't know how accurate that is, but it was going off that number, 30% of that monthly income, and 30% came from the traditional 30% of your monthly income going towards housing. That'd be about $1,156 a month payment towards housing. And that would get you pretty close to the smaller of the two habitat plans we're looking at right now. it gets you pretty close. Anyways, I guess.
So I think one thing that that happened with the previous two homes, I think we would definitely need an explanation on like exactly what happened. I still don't know. I was actually through some estimates at completing the drywall work and two of them, and didn't end up. I still don't know where those structures are setting in the community or if they're closed on. But I mean, you don't need to explain that right now.
No.
But I think you're talking having some future meetings.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing to elaborate on, and then maybe some. I guess I'd like to see some schedules of what it would actually cost, just a piece of paper with some stuff like listed out on it. I think would be great. What who the individuals are that would be qualified for it and what have you. So, and how many people it has to service.
Sure. Cool.
As well, does it have to be like a family per se, or can it be one person?
My understanding of the family starts at one, kind of thing. And so it could, like the two houses there, they've got one person assigned to each house right now. So, yeah. Yeah. And then for the qualified applicants, are you thinking like specific names or just like, here's what the qualifications it would take to
just what the qualifications are, just so it becomes more. I personally have an employee that's kind of been throwing around the idea of purchasing a home at some point, but it's a major commitment. So,
yeah. I think that generally seems to be circling around that low to median income number defined by HUD, which changes every year. And it's based on income, and they take it off that given area median income number, which for Ennis was, I think 72 grand, I think, or 75, it's 75.7 for this year. And then, depending on how many people are in the family or whatever, then it incrementally steps up based on how many people are in the family for whatever percentage bracket you're looking at. But
sure.
Yeah. And I can definitely get that. And then I don't know the best way to, if it's at the next meeting or if it's in an email or whatever.
I think we honestly double up the work session. I don't know if that's what you want to do, but the August 3rd work session, like split it in half and do 1 and 1, and then just like pound out as many questions. Like we can get them to Owen and get you the email. And so you can pound him with questions and then he can give us all the answers all together. If that's the best way to do it. And then I guess one of my questions right off the bat is, so the grant is for 750,000. Is there a matching portion and how is that to be found? Is that an expectation from the town budget, which I don't know, that's a new.
Nice.
See where I'm going?
So up to 750.
It's up to
10% going to admin.
And they've got some language that's like up to 10%, and then it's, they have some examples of approved and not approved. And and maybe it's better to put some of that list in an email or something too, just to compare and contrast. But I know sometimes I like seeing lists. Anyways, I thought I had it. Oh yeah. Maybe it's best to put it in a list. I think for me, if I don't have a list, it's hard to track sometimes.
And then I will prep if council chooses to go through. I would think that we'll have to have a management plan ahead of time as to whose roles and responsibilities and the timeline, and because There's
Yeah.
only so much we can accomplish in a day, a year, or whatever. And that with that, like just a sub agreement on those roles and responsibilities of each entity, which I've got some drafts to look at, so we can go through that as well.
What's the deadline?
September 15th, it's due. Like all the stuff is just boom, there you go. September 15th or before, which I'm guessing I'd probably be pushing up against that deadline pretty close probably.
So does that sound like the best plan from here? Is any questions from the community filter to us, we'll get them to him, and then at the work session on August 3rd, hopefully you'll have like all the questions we could possibly think of in the world ahead of time, and then you can prepare the best your
Cool.
lists for answers.
And how do you guys like those kind of things? Is it like little poster boards with a little pointer in here, or is it like a PowerPoint, or just?
We can do either because we figured out
Okay.
how to connect it onto that screen
Okay.
at the last when Colette presented a share screen, so we can do that now.
Cool.
If we know that ahead of time.
If we know it ahead of time.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best plan, is to do it that way so that it's available to those online as well as those in the room.
The PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
a week ahead of time or something, or?
Yep, that'd be
Okay.
perfect. All right, so do you all have Owen's email? Or I'll make sure you have it. And then we're going to start shooting you all kinds of questions and digging away, and then we'll put work session August 3rd. You're getting shared with a fuel island.
And you have been in contact with Ginger as far as,
Yes. Or Ginger.
no.
Ginger.
It's nice to put a face with a name. Sorry.
Do you have a business card?
I do, but not on me.
I have a question.
Good answer.
Yes.
So you said there were 8 lots in the North 40.
That we've got, yeah.
They're already identified?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
they in one particular area, or are they
It's
spread?
Otis, right off Otis. I think the 2 that are built have Otis addresses, but there's a little horseshoe Rachel. I think it's like lots 9 through 18, I think, and 14 or 18 are built on, and then it's like 5 and 5 on either side of Rachel. Kind of, yeah.
So like the southern part of the North 40 area?
Yeah, yeah,
This side?
yeah.
Yeah, right back here.
All right.
Yeah, it's like a 2-minute walk or whatever that is, or 1 minute or something. Anyways.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Those two are completed.
One of them she just moved in here pretty recently, I think. And then the other, yeah, and then the other one is, we're crossing our fingers hoping that maybe by the end of the summer-ish. So, and then we might do landscaping after that. I think we're just trying to get them ready to move.
You will.
Yeah.
Fall landscaping.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds like our best plan. Okay. I'll make sure they have your email. Anything that comes through from the community, we'll send your way as fast as we can.
Cool.
Probably just forwarded emails to you, and then see you on August 3rd.
Sweet, same time or similar time?
Yep,
Okay,
same
cool.
time, same place, same great channel, YouTube.
Sweet.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
What's his name?
That's Owen.
Owen.
All right, next matter of business. So Judge Behar retires this year in December. He would like to use his vacation time and actually be done October. Judges must go to school in September. I don't remember the exact date. So the whole idea was to get our appointment of our next judge done before then. And so we followed our shalls in administration, where it says we shall publicize the position in the paper, which we have done, and the qualifications required, which has been done. And there are some applications out, so that and in the process, it says that I shall appoint with your good graces. So I'm asking that one of you help me review applications. We already have a score process, and then do it that way so that it's not just me hanging out by myself with just my own opinion, and then you go yay or nay later. So that, and then trying to choose the rest of the selection committee has been interesting on what you. I wanted John and Duncan, and that then was pointed out that that's maybe not a good idea to have an officer that's going to write tickets into a court, help pick the next judge. Like, okay, that's valid. Susie, she can't pick her next other boss, or maybe, I don't
She's not
know.
going to be the next judge?
She has not picked up an application for that. So Ginger does not have any conflict of interest, so she has agreed. One of you, and then if Art is in town, I would like him to help out as he's got the experience to know which one, review applications with me in a more knowledgeable way of justice than I currently have. So any nominations of the council that wants to like hang out and do that with me? Corey volunteered.
I'm not sure it would be considered my boss. They don't have the authority to hire me.
That's true.
So
So does anybody have any objections to Susie being with us? Really? Like,
well, John does, Ginger, but you know.
I just don't want there to be a conflict of interest so that it's weird later, but
And
you also were on,
perception.
you and Art also said you could. Yeah. So, and as long as there's 5, then it doesn't make a difference, I would think.
I mean, I don't really care either way. I just was pointing out that now that they are my supervisor when I'm working for work, but I don't think they're my boss, so to speak, because they don't have.
Ability to.
Either way, I'll totally do it.
Okay, so Corey's it. I put an application deadline of the 1st in the paper so that we had enough time to then, if there was close enough on our scoring, to didn't do interviews and still make sure that whoever we chose so that we could get them registered for judge school in September. Does that make sense? All right, so Corey's nominating himself. Would you guys like to officially vote him as part of my selection committee since you're the thing?
I second that.
All right,
Yes,
Who made
I
the
agree.
motion?
Corey did. He volunteered himself.
Is it an appointment or is it a motion?
Well,
I'll say the motion discussion and vote, so you better make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to appoint Corey Hardy to the judge retirement committee.
judge selection. Well, I mean, we could have a committee on retirement too, but
Judge selection.
I second it.
okay. Any other discussion amongst you on Corey? Okay.
Tina?
Tina, anything?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, then we're calling the vote, and I'm starting with you.
Aye.
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 Okay. Sounds good. As soon as the applications come in, I'll let you guys know, and we'll finalize the crew one more time. It's Ginger, Susie, Corey, me, and Art. Art can look, we can fax him things. Okay, so we'll drag him by his toenails. All right, that's done. Last one. Temporary use permit on 726 Madison Avenue. Sorry, that wasn't in the original packet. That was my fault. I knew it was on my to-do list, but I should have had the application in there for review. I apologize.
Where did you got it to us?
I don't know. This is our first one of these. For me. Maybe not for the town.
So what is it?
So what is it? It's it's unlawful to live in your camper for
2 to
I
3
don't
months.
I
know.
go try to look on my phone and I can't search that great, so you just can't, I'm not supposed to do it all.
Yeah, you're really not supposed to live in your camper. So there's a lack of workforce housing. Madison Valley Tribesmen has put in for basically the ability to have their workers live in there temporarily. You just have the permit in front of you.
For 2 to 3 months in a trailer. Only seasonal and some during the summer months. Otherwise, there'll be 5 to 7 commercial trailers in place of the fifth wheel for storage. And this is south of Lure Me In, down that way.
It's north of the shop.
North of
North
the
of the
trade.
house, isn't it? Or is it behind the shop or next to the
The
house?
shop house trailer.
Sorry.
Shop to the west, the house to the east, and the trailer to the north. Right?
This is an application for employee housing in a camper.
And a fifth
Basically.
wheel.
They're helping.
Yes.
They're helping the tradesmen build complete the inside of the house.
Didn't they build a home for employee housing?
That's the one they're completing.
It's not finished.
It's not completed.
Oh,
And they're building 2 houses to the south on this.
So these
Does it say for how long? From when to when?
2 to 3 months.
Well, it says 2 to 3 months, only seasonal for summer. Otherwise, there'll be trailers for storage. So the living, the time where they're living in the fifth wheel plus the time where there's 5 to 7 storage trailers fits within that 2 to 3 months period? Or no?
Well, it says otherwise there will be 5 to 7 commercial trailers in place for storage, in place of fifth wheel for storage.
For storage until,
So I
The
think
2 don't
Just
even relate to all.
for whenever.
the way that I read it is that the camp trailer is gonna be there for 2 to 3 months. And if this isn't approved, then they will move in 5 to 7 commercial trailers
Yeah.
in its
Okay.
place. Which
Uh,
they don't need a temporary use permit for that.
Right. Right. I go straight back to when Roy Lance came in and was like, I'm gonna leave a bunch of buildings here. But yeah, isn't that what the campground is for out to that end of town? Is for people to live. The last time we approved a permit like this, which is basically a variance from our town code, was because of hardship, I think. Anybody? It was,
Laura, that was redoing her house.
yeah,
She was living in her driveway while her house got.
but her house flooded. So she had a hardship, and that's the very definition of the variance. So the only time you issue variance, which is what this is asking
We don't
us
do
to,
variance though.
well, that's asking us to like ignore the town code. Right?
Making an exception.
Or make an exception to the town code, which is, I don't know.
And once you break it,
Yeah, I mean, if they had a legitimate hardship, it'd be maybe, James, maybe you could speak more to this application. I mean, honestly.
Hello?
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to the application. I don't have it in front of me,
If you go into the
unfortunately.
commission packet, we added it.
Okay, let me try to get there real quick. But if what Corey is saying is correct, that this is a variance application, then the variance would have to go in front of your Board of Adjustment. So if you want to give me a minute, I'll try to locate the document.
This thing hates me today. I'm grabbing a town pope book that actually electronically.
Almost got it. Okay, opening it up now. Oh, I did look at this. I was kind of sort of confused by it. It says, yeah, construction, temporary living in a fifth wheel, 2 to 3 months. But I don't see on here where, oh, okay, ordinance 1143E2. So give me a second here to get the town code up.
Because under recreational vehicles and zoning, you may have a temporary use permit not to exceed 1 year in duration may be granted by the town commission for occupying a recreational vehicle during construction or reconstruction of a single or two-family dwelling. So it's permitted right there. Because it does say so. There, 11-4, Section E on recreational vehicles on a residential lot. And then it says when you can do it and at what point you need a temporary use permit, which is what they've applied for. That is approved by commission.
Which is what they're trying to do.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor Nikki, I agree that is a correct reading of your ordinance. A temporary use permit may be granted by the town commission for occupying such recreational vehicle during construction or reconstruction of a single or two-family dwelling. So if that's the case, and if that is the factual basis before you, then you may proceed.
Thank you.
But it says 2 to 3 months.
On the application.
But the permit is only good for a year.
Yes. Not to exceed 1 in duration may be granted, but it doesn't even have anything on an extension on here. So it just 1 year.
It's automatic.
It's
1 year.
all the permit temporary.
The question I have though is there something being constructed?
Yes, 2 single,
Oh, they're constructing.
yes. Single family. Well, single family. Those were both single.
We approved the projects like 4 months ago.
They were conditional uses. So I think it meets everything with the town code. Any other public comment? Second call? Last call for any public comment? Commission. Do the thing.
I move to approve temporary use permit 726 Madison Avenue.
I second that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, can you
All right.
clarify? I'm sorry, maybe I missed it, but are they using this for employee housing or the owners of these residences that they're building?
Permit. I think it's employee.
Essentially employee housing.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nikki, you said 11.4 dash.
3, section E,
Mhm.
numbers 1 and 2, recreational vehicle storage and temporary use permits.
What I'm missing here. Why wouldn't they use a campground?
Because they're all full during the summer construction months.
Oh, and this is free. Yeah, at least I think it's like 1,000.
But and they're putting this on the property where they built the employee housing and where their shop is, not on the lots that they're building those houses for sale, right? Oh,
Correct.
I mean, I guess it doesn't. Well, we might be seeing a lot more of these.
Yeah. Yeah, quite literally, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of those. I think it might be interesting.
Well, I know there's a lot of the workers that are living in the campground right here on the corner.
They're extended time periods too. Like I know that there's quite a few of those that it's been a year or more. These expire within 1 year. So that might be a portion of it too.
Hmm.
Well, I think they might plan to live there for 2 or 3 months, and then another portion of time, they'd just be for storage. So I think in summer they live there, winters it's probably storage, right? Is that what it says?
No.
Seasonal use for summer months, otherwise. It says otherwise there will be 5 to
Yeah. That's what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
Which is one way to approach things.
Yeah.
So, motion discussion. We're still on discussion. Any other discussion?
I actually think we need to address this for future use. I think that could get relatively out of hand, I guess. I mean, if I'm doing a little construction project on my house, I can bring some people in to live and work for me.
Only one recreational vehicle per dwelling unit may be stored or whatever. Not in the temporary use. So I don't know if we need to redefine the application itself for number of units or shorten the time span or whatever, but let's go with this one for now.
Sure. Maybe in the future, shorten that time span for an entire year.
I don't know how. I haven't been in a bathroom remodel for a good 2 years. Sometimes things just life gets away from you.
I mean, I mean,
This close. All right. More discussion on the actual permit.
no, I think it's good.
Okay, I'm calling the vote. I did Tina last time, so Craig.
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
All right. Yeah, you can look at that, see what recommendations for our next legislative session of awesomeness. Like, we're to department reports. Karen.
I'll be quick. You all have my written report. Things are going very well, very busy, but very well. I just want to point out a couple of things to you. Down where it says I attached the draft results of our survey, I did not attach the draft results of our survey. I will at some point get them to you. The only part that you might be interested in would be our comments about parking, access, and ease of parking. No new story there, but it's always something to think about. And the other thing that I would like to actually invite you all to, August 8th at 5:30 p.m., we're having a dinner party. My board told me not to call it a meeting. It's a dinner party. I trust them for their good advice. It's the last part of our strategic planning portion, for our 5-year plan. And I'm going to combine it with our information gathering session for accessibility grant. So at 5:30 at the library, we'll be having a dinner, and the grant covers part of meeting. Food is included. So dinner's on us. It would be lovely to have you, and I'll send you an invitation by email, so you'll have it. Do you all have any questions for me?
Do we have a regular schedule or kind of one for Abigail yet?
Yes,
Okay.
she has a full-time job. This is her part-time job. So she works Fridays and Saturdays. So she works at Moonlight, and so I am trying to accommodate her schedule because she's great, and it's hard to find really great people.
It was just I wanted to come down and meet, and I went just a wind.
She'll be there Fridays.
Just okay,
Yes.
Fridays.
Or if you want her, if you'd like her to swing up to you, she'd be happy to also.
I'll come down on a Friday and say hi to
Yeah.
Abigail and officially meet and greet.
Yeah, she's great.
Friday's her day, and then I did space the fence checking thing, so I will highlight that in my to do so that we can get a fence.
Okay.
Since we have something impeding our way.
Sounds good. Okay. And yeah, my other thoughts on that are, if this helps any, access is primarily from the west side, which the city has nothing to do with. So there are options. We have options without worrying about easements, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. When you're ready, just give me a call.
Okay, and that'll be perfect. Again, working into budget.
Yep.
And everything else. Oh, August is going to be so much fun. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Have any?
Anybody?
Nikki?
Yes, James.
Yeah, I don't know if I should raise this now, just ask, or save it for my my legal report, but the library agreement comes up for renewal automatically this time of year. I think June 30th or July 1st. And it automatically renews. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
Oh, I did. Sorry to interrupt you, James. Nikki and I have talked about it. And I think it's at least on my radar for review. We just talked about it as far as going over any items that need to be changed.
And I think it's worked a lot better
Okay,
than before.
I only had one sort of question here. I remember, I don't know, it was 3-4 months ago, and the MMIA was concerned about liability and extending coverage to the library that there had to be a resolution showing that the library was, that you're actual employees of the town. And I believe that we created a user agreement or memorandum of understanding to formalize that understanding. But it was also subject to certain conditions, 1 through 11, mostly about the library adopting and adhering to the town personnel policies. And then those policies are, were attached as an exhibit, numbers 1 through 11. So I guess just trying to follow up on that as the town attorney, because I mean, liability issues are always a concern to us, and we want to make sure that coverage through MMIA is extended to all of our employees and that there's not a lapse of coverage or any sort of confusion in that regard. So I would only ask if the library did in fact adopt all those policies.
Yeah, we've always adhered to those policies. There's never been a change in town of Ennis policy that I know of. Do you,
Yep, we're
Ginger? Yes.
So there were 11 specific policies, for example, that you have an orientation program in place, written hiring and selection process that complies with applicable federal and state law, that the library has a written harassment prevention policy. I mean, I don't want to, bore everybody with the details of those 11 different things, but to just say that you have that, I think, from a proper record keeping standpoint, we would want to see that all those policies are in place, that they're actually written somewhere and that they have been adopted. So do you have that?
Are you asking for a change of document from last year in the user agreement? Because that's what was acceptable last year, that we went through item and verified each of those. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah,
Points.
I'll just,
Exhibit A from MMIA. They were all adopted. Nothing has changed since last year, so we're still in 100% compliance with MMIA and their recommendations from last year. Yes, MMIA accepted all the documents and nothing has changed from last year, so we're good to go on all 11 points.
And I do believe that the mayor and I had talked about reviewing the document just to go over it and make sure it's working for everyone.
Yeah.
okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
We're still on.
Anybody else? Thank you all.
Thank you, Karen. All right. Law enforcement. You guys written report, all that good stuff.
Did we find out any more on the car as to it being marked versus unmarked?
There's nothing in Montana code anywhere that stipulates that a police vehicle must be marked in any shape, way, manner, or form. The closest state, don't quote me, but I want to say is Washington, and it has stipulations that it must be on a certain number of sides, but doesn't have size, so you could literally have like the smallest thing, which is funny. Montana does have regulations on lights, color of lights, height of, they must be at the highest location on the point of the vehicle, as well as other locations. But there is nothing regarding markings.
So how are you supposed to spot them?
I know. Those undercover cops should be marked. Okay. That, yeah. Well, no. Yes, no. There's an expired agreement for dispatch services, and then there's requirements by code on parties, municipalities, and what they must have, and what county's requirements are as well. So since there's nothing that supersedes that, well, we can never supersede Montana code, so far we just need to go through dispatch agreement.
So what?
We need to finalize the dispatch agreement.
Is that in the process?
Mhm.
So it's expired, you need
Mm-hmm.
to renew it.
Yes. All right, anything else under law enforcement?
Will there be any public meetings or notices about the new dispatch agreement or what's changing or costs to the town or anything? that, you know, or will share?
If anybody wants it, I certainly can put it on there when it's prepared, but it's like the Ennis Lions Club MOU. Like, it's never been part of a public meeting. They can be. The library one we did in front, it was a kind of in public meeting.
Wasn't it like a contentious conversation though about like when it comes to the county wants to charge and
It's a mills amount. Yeah. So it'll be
friendly and that's not gonna happen or is it budget discussion?
it's a lot of budget discussion too, and I wish I had all the answers. I'm hoping that at least part of my answers will come the 20th when I go to Summit as to Department of Revenue. Because as a county and municipality, like we're supposed to be receiving a certain amount of money from marijuana sales. And thus far, we haven't seen any of it. And like my full intention was that money be used for exactly things like that to go towards the county law enforcement and dispatch agreement. So it'd be really great to have all the pieces of this puzzle, which I'm hoping. On the preliminary meetings of Summit, they didn't have anything from the Department of Revenue. And I'm hoping now, since the July 20th is the last municipal summit, the MMIA, those summits and training summits, that they'll have that information. Because I called a lot of Department Revenue offices and was hold up for over 45 minutes with nobody answering. So I have a feeling there's a lot of people asking the same question, like, okay, state, so you're collecting a lot of tax money on marijuana, and where's that portion being redistributed or when, or yeah, that would be great to know, especially as budget cycle comes through. And probably most appropriate places for that kind of revenue would be in services like mental and substance services and law enforcement, in my mind. And both of those are a lot of counties, so that's where it's at in my mind, which is not always the best place, but Public Works. What? No, no power money at the library. Well, there could be a growing session. You could have what? Gardening, water hydropot. No. Okay, Public Works. Did Eric?
He has a report in there.
All the fun.
Here, be back.
Thank you. I don't know where. Mine keeps shutting off and making me log back in. Anything else? Any other questions that I can send his way? I know that Fridays, it's not on here. Fridays he is designating as sections of help with the lead service line inventory. So he's been trying to schedule all of his, if you need help, sorry. If anybody needs one. So there's that. So if you run into anybody that's confused, needs help with their line inventory, Eric has set aside a section of time on Fridays just to devote to the lead service line inventory that we're having fun with.
So far, we only have one request for help.
Yeah.
A official that's come through me. He may have gotten calls.
He's gotten some calls. He's crawled in some dark, scary, spider-ridden places. So thank you, Eric, for crawling into dark, spider-ridden, scary spaces to check lines and inventory them. And we're getting some of those back. And then as those go back, we're going to have to start filling out the 25-page Excel form to get that's required from the feds to get it.
And of the over
Back down.
600 or 700 that we sent out, there are only 3 that have come back that we haven't been able to forward to a new address. So that's a good ratio.
No, no, that's going better than,
But you're expecting them all back in by December.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
26, I think. Where's yours?
I took pictures, it's on my phone, I'm almost filling mine out, done filling mine out. So there's that. Any other questions I can put to Eric when he's back? Roads are graded. No, that's part of that water per, that, yeah. Well, how we're gonna fund it and where the cost is. And I was really hoping that in an annexation process but so my funding plan had to be reevaluated and now re-put into the best laid plans never come to fruition. That's what I'm learning. And patience is a virtue that I don't have. You up?
I'm up. I did not do a report. And to be honest, I really don't know what I did for months. It's been busy. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I did send you all an email that Forrest will not be available on the 3rd or the 10th. So if you have questions prior to that meeting, I would suggest emailing him, giving him a call, send it to me, I'll forward it to him, whatever works, but. So.
Have you had any feedback about the fuel island? Any people calling in and expressing concerns or?
We haven't publicly noticed it yet. It will be, the deadline is next Friday for the public hearing on the 10th for the major site plan review. So, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of one of those things that once it goes to publication, council, public comment needs to be received as public comment in the room or in writing so that it is an equal, we're all hearing the same thing and making the decisions on the same information that we're hearing. So if somebody wants to engage you in a conversation, you need to politely say, I'm sorry, but comment can be submitted in writing. And it's so that we're all hearing the same thing and there's no, or come in person, either way. But so that it's fair to every person to hear the same thing and then make their vote based on the same information. That was a very horrible way of saying that, but see what I'm getting? Technically, once it goes to public hearing, that's kind of the process that needs to be followed. Okay. Clerks and bathroom.
You have my written, if there's any questions on that, budget is coming along slowly but surely. And this is now year end. So I have reports to send you guys on my list for tomorrow for all the year end. Excuse me. Figures, etc. Sorry, thank you. So if you would watch in your, I'm gonna put it under your commission stuff, under the share file.
So those are coming at you tomorrow, so you can see where we ended up for the year. If you have questions on those, please don't hesitate. We still have budget numbers coming in. I've asked for estimates from department heads and whatnot so that we can be as accurate as possible. It's looking like there's a lot of wants, needs, etc. So you guys are gonna have some sorting to do this year, I think. But what you think on different things?
Okay, yeah, I guess I needed, did Tony Tezak turn a bill in
I
for?
made it on claims.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh,
You did claims? Must have signed all of it.
huh?
Nothing. That was for the Arbor Day.
Busted, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he did get a bill in for that tree. Anything else at this time, or? Okay. James, legal. I lost him. Sorry, James.
Yes.
Legal, you're up.
So
I know I've had you working on some stuff for me.
yeah, so I was surprised I didn't see the panhandling thing on the agenda tonight.
I was afraid that it was going to be a really long night, and maybe I'll call you tomorrow and we'll go over just a few proofreading edits, and I think it's ready for our August meeting. So after council had concern about the panhandling, James looked at other cities and what was available, and I had him write something that kind of fit us. So I'll have a draft version out for you guys to kind of look at before we go to resolution for August. Sound good?
And that sounds good to me, Nikki. I appreciate you tasking me with that. I know that there were some concerns down there, and you know, it's a freedom of speech, kind of freedom of to travel, but at a certain point, you do have the ability to regulate time, manner, and place and conduct. And so, if conduct is interfering with the liberty of others, then you know that becomes a safety and welfare concern. And actually, Chief John Moore, he took a look at what they were doing in Billings, sent that over to me, and then I drafted that, made some changes to it so it would fit better for our local town. The only other thing I would bring up is that I've been getting these phone calls, you know, from various persons trying to reach the town attorney. And oddly enough, it's other attorneys mostly trying to reach me. I imagine, you know, they're getting the answer machine. They're not listening to the entire recorded message, and then they just hang up, so they never get to hear how to contact me. I was thinking, and I talked with Chief John Moore about this. He's your IT guy. And he suggested that, you know, for under an hour's worth of his time, he could create a drop-down menu on your webpage and give the town attorney, you know, a link down there how other attorneys or folks can reach me for legal matters. And it's not that I want to have more phone calls at my office, but I've been seeing these motions recently where people are sending in to the judge, well, we tried reaching the town attorney and couldn't get a hold of him, or had no response from the town attorney. And it's, you know, I think from a professional standpoint, people should have the ability to reach me, particularly other attorneys who are making a motion. The way it works, in case you don't know, if somebody wants to make a basic motion to the court, whether it's Judge Behar or some other judge, you're supposed to contact your adversary counsel and ask them if they object to your motion. So it's somewhat embarrassing to me or confusing to see a motion go into the judge that says, we tried reaching the town attorney but could not reach him. It makes it look like, I wasn't being responsive. And then I call up the other attorney. He's like, oh, no. We didn't know how to reach you. So any event, all I'm asking is that if you were to authorize John Moore, he told me that it would take probably less than 1 hour of his time or an hour of his time, and he could just put in a drop-down link on the website so that people know how to reach me.
All right. I'll put that in my review. There's a couple things on the website that I was going to talk to John about. The ability to find the packets easier, some things like that. Like, it's there if you know it's there, but even trying to find it, unless you're dragging your cursor across it, it's so hard to find. So I'm trying to find a way to make those commission packets easier, and maybe using the calendar page to just link it, like commission meeting on the calendar, link, there it is, the packet. See if that's doable. So, okay, and I'll put a drop window in for your information as well.
And
Thank
I
you.
agree. Thank you, Mayor Nikki. And I agree with you 100%. When you go to the town commission drop-down window and you scroll down, it's like in small, almost the print is almost it's almost invisible because it's lighter. The text is a
Yeah, the
lighter.
hyperlink is not, it
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't.
those links should be big and bold and, big things. But yeah, I
All
appreciate that.
right.
Thank
I will work on those two with John when he gets off vacation. Commission, you up. Tina, let's start with you. You online.
I am here. I just had a question, actually, kind of along the whole website, Facebook thing. When is it John that posts to Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, I am on Facebook quite a bit, obviously for work and different things, but sometimes I don't know that something's been posted or something's going on. Is there any way that the commissioners could get that in an email? So when people walk in and say, hey, what's going on Hugel? Oh, whoops.
So Tina, go to the town website and right there you sign up for emails, and anytime there's a blog on Facebook, it pops up in my email. Like, I know about it the second it's posted.
Seriously, I had no idea. Okay. Where do right
Mine
on the
pops up.
website? Okay. All right. That'll be helpful.
And if you need, stop by or call me and I can help you set it up.
Well, I'm maybe thinking about taking off Monday and coming to see you. So yeah. Okay. That, and then when I brought up the porta potties in the park, that's just for budget, right? We weren't going to try to do something this summer. That has to be
No.
going forward. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't failing there. And that's really kind of all I have. That's all I got.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Craig, you're up.
I don't have anything for the group.
Thank you. Will you, as a favor, just touch base with the planning board, all the members, and maybe we need to have just a like informal luncheon or something. Organize something like hey, let's all hang out again besides training. I don't know, something.
Sure. Is there anything else that needs to be painted?
Oh,
Actually, I had one more thing. How many people have called in to say how nice the bathrooms
yeah.
look?
Let's start with an organizational meeting and then maybe talk you into Granny Ennis's park gazebo.
The gazebo. Yeah, I said they could use it.
Okay. Update planning on website.
He does,
Yeah, he's been, oh, that's right, he was in his IT. But we should make an organizational meeting where we officially do chair and everything.
And secretary.
All that good stuff.
Okay.
I think Tina, you had one other thing to add?
Oh, I was just being maybe not funny. I just was wondering how many people called in to say how nice the bathrooms look.
Yeah. I didn't take any.
Oh, that was good. That was good in the end. That was, yeah. Anyway, that was all.
And we're looking at the flooring thing, so it'll come along. Sometimes you just have to go with I did a good thing sometimes. And go with it. All right. Brandy. Brandy. Me, capital improvement, starting on something. Harass me. I'm putting you harassing me. Okay. So we can get started on that. A capital improvement plan that desperately needs to start having a form updation. That's a Bushism. You can just call me Bush next. Yes. So yeah, you and me are gonna have a little work meeting, work on some of that. Sorry.
So I called and spoke with Forrest, our on-call planner, and discussed the fuel island with him for a minute. And ultimately, can I say anything about it? What was your previous comment? I guess I didn't understand.
Once it's publicly noticed, receiving public comment individually is not accepted. Basically, you're not supposed to talk about it once it goes to public hearing. You're just supposed to gently say, it's for all of us to hear so that we can all have the same information to make a decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so basically I asked him a handful of questions about that, and if there were any issues that he had with it and what have you. So
You got your questions answered.
I got my questions answered, yes. I put a phone call in to a lady by the name of Jackie Haynes. She is the executive director of Park Madison and Gallatin County Economic Development District. It's a really long title. We used to have similar individuals here in the county. Robin Blazer and Sam Korsmo were our Madison Valley Economic Development Council individuals, kind of back during recession time. They both worked for the county, just helping people come up with, anybody who had ideas or ways to improve their community or start up a business. Regardless, I was connected with her via Danny Bierschwal, who's the head of the resort tax district for our area, and just spoke about different resort tax stuff. Just doing a little, I'll call it a side project with that, because I'm very interested in it, just with Eric had another water main failure happen here just the other day. So just different ways we can basically get monies from the tourists that are here that we're seeing actively using our community right now. And ways to ultimately pay better wages. There's just, the sky is the limit with resort tax stuff. But ultimately, just to, we have budget coming up, and I would like to see some monies possibly allocated towards, I guess, just an educational not that it would cost a whole lot, but just to maybe assemble a brochure possibly about resort tax and just educating people when they do, if and when they do go to vote on something like this. So,
If you're thinking of, yeah, a pamphlet or something like that, would you have the opportunity to maybe get some costs on what a pamphlet would run?
yeah.
That would give me an idea then of what to.
Okay.
And Corey, if I were you, I would talk to this really smart lady in the room that put together this really awesome survey, right? And gathered great information and maybe like how she approached information gathering, because she seems to be really good at finding information,
Sure.
distributing it.
Cool. Yeah, and it's,
Like
I mean,
kind of a
it's,
genius at it.
I think some of the items on there, like even asking a local business what their revenue was for July 4th. And then take a resort tax is 3%, and you keep, I believe, 10% of the 3% actually go back towards the owner of the business for processing, and then the other 90, well, another 10% of that goes back towards property tax abatement, and then the rest of it, yeah, can go towards, how do you call it, the, where you get money from, you apply for a grant. And we used to have a grant writer, trying to think what her name was. She was the head of the ambulance.
Patty.
Patty. Do we have anyone qualified, or do we have like an agreement with the county for grant writing?
For big grants.
Yeah.
Go to Great Western because of their track record with getting big money.
Sure.
But otherwise,
If you want a side job, there's a lot of people hiring grant writers. MSU has a pretty awesome course that you can go to as well.
You can't even fill out a survey properly, or like you
Put your
left.
address on there and write copper.
What's that?
Put your address on there and write copper.
And send a picture of it. All right, so you're gonna get together cost stuff for budget on your project thought. Sorry, like she's like, what? She's like, if I'm not in the room, she won't point at me anymore.
may I ask a question of Corey?
Corey, she's got a question.
Why is the pollinator garden still covered up?
Just noticed that tonight.
So what Colin is trying to do at this point is kill everything off because it like grew up in weeds. The previous, or what is his title? The conservation district. So Dave left and Colin came in, and he's kind of taking over this pollinator plot. Yeah, he's trying to kill everything off and going to put in a fall
Oh, that's good time.
deal, but
I was just wondering why it hasn't, I mean, it's just sat there covered up and I'm like, okay, what's going on?
it wasn't black plastic, which is what you're supposed to put down if you're going to, I mean, ultimately it probably will cook whatever's in there. So you kill all the seeds and you start over with a sterile situation, but he does have a plan
Okay.
for it.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Sure. Yeah, I've had a few people ask me about it. I guess we planned on the 14th, I think that was after our town meeting of June, we planted a tree in the the triangle for town pump. That was just to replace an existing tree that was there that had died. So, and then hoping to purchase a few more trees from TZACs prior to the budget year ending, and planting them this fall. So, there's a training in Livingston. Is anyone going?
I'm going.
And that is, what day is that?
The 20th. It is next Thursday from 9 to 4. And then we run in and go to floodplain informational meeting that evening.
And what is the training? I didn't.
The summit?
I didn't read it. Is it just like a one day?
Yeah, it's all the legislative update. And when Ginger went and Dylan, a lot of the stuff hadn't been finalized. We were still in that process where the governor could review and veto. And so some of it was still up in the air, especially the hot topics for the towns. Now those are all finalized. So I know they're going to give an update on that. I'm sure on the new, everybody's been getting these fancy little Department of Revenue tax. Have you seen these? So there's a discussion on those. And if you haven't checked it out, I think I forwarded it to you, but I can do it again. The league sent out really great understanding your property tax information, and it's got pictures and it's great. And John and I were trying to figure out how to link it to the website, but I was going to talk to them and see if there was a way to link it to our website. I'm still working on that one, since it was an email with information, not, see what I'm saying?
There is a video from
Department of,
the Mountain Associated Planners on the legislative update too.
mhm.
So if you're interested, I sat in on one of them and then missed it, but
They recorded all 3 of them,
yes,
so.
they're all recorded. So my friend just let me know. I'll forward it to you.
And those are just new legislation that's being proposed, or?
No, that went through. When did you go, Ginger?
I went last
No, I mean, was it May?
May.
But yeah, at that point, there were still things going across the governor's desk that could have been vetoed. So they were unsure. Some were signed, some weren't. Some could have been vetoed. So there wasn't final answer on all of them. Now all the final answers are in, and they'll give us update on the most important items. It's just like the school board had to go through theirs, any legislation, and update their policies. So it's going to be the same for us. So that's what that update is. Yep. I'll try. They're really good about information. Note. They've been working on one as well.
But that was the first thing that they did, and he just didn't bring enough printed summaries, so I didn't get my hands on one. But again, now they should be final.
Well, I think NMIA and Mountain Associated Planners is doing the video one.
Together. Correct. And they're really good about emailing us summaries, so I'm sure now that it's done, when I go, I'll get the PowerPoint and I can just ask presenter to. That was the other one that I've been really waiting on. Like, where's my pot money, man? I honestly feel like a lot of people voted yes for it, to that, with the taxation in mind, that it would also create revenue, be usable for communities, and we're not seeing that. We're just.
What are the expected revenues or monies that you know of to see?
I haven't looked at the last. I haven't looked since March, honestly.
Because I was talking about like bed tax, for example. West Yellowstone put in place a tax for all the motels, so an additional $1 for every single motel room in town, and that was their version of like additional resort tax to generate monies for things, but they were talking about, well, one of my buddies was telling me about bed tax, like 10%, we're lucky to see like 10% of it back out of all the bed tax that we pay here in the area. It all goes to the state and they spend it for whatever they end up spending it for. So.
It goes to the Montana Heritage Commission. And how much is that building? It's kind of cool. Teddy Roosevelt. That building, I can't remember what building it was, what it's called. The name of the brick building in Virginia City, but now it's actually in the Montana Heritage Commission's property, and they're redoing it. And way back when, Teddy Roosevelt actually hung out in the building, so cool.
Is that the Stonewall Hall?
Mm-hmm. All right, anything else, Corey?
No, maybe elaborate on that training. What else are they going to be talking about?
I think that's the majority of it. I don't know. Mine's dead, dying, deceased. All right, well, we're doing that. 4 minutes. I don't know what I did. No. So that is on my list. I put a time tracker on my phone so that I could keep track of what I do. Has not helped at all because you have to actually use it. I was hoping that by the time local government review came around, I would have a real estimate of the time of hours it takes, or at least I've been putting in it, and then probably double what it actually takes to do this effectively.
To be the mayor.
To be the mayor, and do it well, which I feel like time constraints, you really need more than 30 hours a month? That's super cut and short what you can get accomplished around here. Sorry. Yeah, that's what my pay is for, is 30 hours a month. More than that, but I wanted to have an accurate number for local government review so that there was a clearer picture of what's needed, especially with an 11% growth rate.
So you're going to ask for a pay raise then? Is this where you're going?
No, I'm saying like at some point you really have to look and see if this is going to be the most effective form of government. If you are going to stay with a mayor, or if it is, I don't know that you are at a 40-hour work week where you need a city manager, but it's something you need to have a more accurate picture of the time and it's required. And it might not be this year or next year, but at year 9, that mayor may be pushing really close to 40 hours a week. So you're going to have a retired person or get to the point where you have a city manager. I don't know what that picture is, and I want to provide accurate data for that review. That's what I'm saying. So we're getting there.
I'm just gonna look in my notes to see. Completed that review.
The local government review is due it's due every decade, and it's 2024 is when it. The local government review happens every decade.
That's right.
Right. And 2024 is the year for that. Dan is going to come down and do training sessions. The MSU is already setting up their schedule for training for all of us so that we understand the process and information to go out to the public and all that. So we've got a lot of good team on us for that. No, you can't put that out until election. Yeah. So there has been some interest since there's 3 positions available this election year, and only 2 people have filed. Thank you. It's me smiling, and you're like, yes, I'm a glutton for punishment, both of you. Thank you. So there will be one that will be by appointment, but that appointment can't be made until election has happened, after election. And there's been interested parties, and I have already guided them towards training and updating themselves on current information so that they could be more prepared for interview and what it takes to have this kind of fun. So there was that meeting. 4th of July, briefly came in, went through the incident action plan with everybody. Thank you to the chamber for organizing and having 16 volunteers to do traffic and all that good stuff. And ambulance and fire for helping pull that off, and John for putting together your giant action plan. That takes it's quite the beast, quite the undertaking. What else has been exciting? I don't know. I think that's the majority of it. I'm done because it's 9:01 and I want to
Do you not think we should address the, like how much you get paid a year? It doesn't take like 3 years to actually.
You can't vote on your own pay raise. It has to be an election, and it wouldn't be for any of us. If you feel that at some point that the commission or this position would need a different pay, it would go into effect for the next voted group, is how that stands in law, which is fine with me. I was less worried about the pay, more worried about Ennis knowing exactly what it's going to take for the next decade. Or, do you see what I'm saying? We could easily turn it into whitefish, or, well, not easily because there's not enough water, but there is we went from 1% growth to 11% growth. How has that affected this position, all the positions here, and how are we going to accommodate that? And data is what we need to accommodate that. So that's where it's at. That's what I know. The pay, it's so weird to me because there are no, I mean, there's stipulations by code and administration, but from my observation, it's been what you are willing to actually put into it from mayor to mayor. So you could do that huge increased pay and you don't have an actual set requirement of hours. So you could coast for twice the pay. I'm just saying, you could. So this shouldn't be a job that's pay is the factor of whether or not you do it. It certainly hasn't been. Don't quit your day job is what this job pays. So, that's where things are at. August 3rd, we'll have the work session. We'll split it between the two items. August 10th, we'll start with the public hearing. Oh, I skipped a meeting. Sorry. Because we have July 27th. Thank you. Yeah, then he's nodding. He knows. July 27th, we'll have public hearings on the 5 items above. We'll amend the one, and that'll be it for the 27th. 3rd is the work session split between Fuel Island questions, getting those answered. And they did ask if they needed to be in person for that. I said no, because most of their representatives are in Salt Lake that we could go to, because it seemed for a work session. I don't want them to have the additional cost when we can do it this way. That work? Okay. So the 3rd is split between those two items. And then we'll be to public hearing.
August 10th is what?
August 10th will be the public hearing on the major site plan review of that Fuel Island. Wait.
10th is the vote.
Vote.
It's the regular meeting. 3rd is the
Work.
session.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, 10th is the public hearing.
Yes.
Sorry.
So
Don't mess up my schedule in my
10th is
head.
not a public hearing.
10th? What?
Yes, it is, a public hearing, and then a vote during the regular meeting. Right? Correct.
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. Quit looking at me for an answer.
So did we just add a meeting for the 27th?
It was scheduled.
It's always been there.
It was scheduled.
Oh,
So the
All right.
27th is the public hearings on the second readings of ordinance 154, 55,
Oh,
56, 57,
right.
58.
Right.
That's
right,
it.
right. Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
adding any more fun to that night.
Right. Okay.
Maybe a painting party.
Nikki,
That's it. I
Mayor.
think that's all. But thank you, honestly, for painting because it was randomly fun. Now I know what bands and cars you have. All right. Anything else that I need to put on the agenda for August? I'll have the panhandling resolution to review, and then should have the two resolutions for the one for the water report and the wastewater report. We good? All right. So to claims then. That's what I was saying. Anything else for the August meeting? We're good. Claims.
Second.
All right. Call on the vote. Brandy, you're up.
Aye.
Aye.
Tina.
Aye.
Who made that motion? Brandy or?
Brandy.
or
Craig, second.
Seconded.
And then Brandy moved to adjourn.
I second.
Say I.
Aye. 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 Aye.
Thank you. Oh, darn it. It's 9:07. Yes. Thank you, Karen. Oh, Tina, are you still there? Tina.
I'm here.
Sorry. I'm actually not gonna be here Monday because I have the whole thing Thursday.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm trading it out. But if you need me, just call me. I will
Yeah.
come down to the store or whatever
You come see me?
and see you. Okay.
Yeah. No, I haven't had really any time off, so I was thinking, oh, I'd like to go in. Just, it feels good sometimes just to connect like that. So,
Okay.
okay, I'll holler at you.
Just call me.
Okay, I won't holler. I'll call you. Okay.
I was like, I had to keep reminding Tony to bring this thing, and then it was like morning up, and I'm